What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Imperfect Action Show. I'm your host, Tizzle Speaks, and I'm super excited to be here with Luke today. He is the mastermind behind some real estate investing, but also learning how to become successful. And it all starts within your mind. So I'm super excited to hear from him today. Luke, welcome. Happy Friday.
What's going on? Thank you so much for inviting me onto your show this Friday. It is truly a blessing to be on the show and to be here with you, Stizzo, and just talking about success, right? Having that conversation about success, having a conversation about business. I know that there's a lot of entrepreneurs listening to our voices today, and so I'm very excited to touch even if it's just one soul, right, one mind that just shifts today. I know that it's going to be a job well done. But the information I'm going to cover is the core of my success, and not just my own. It's the core of success of every single person that's ever been successful, that has ever experienced high success, and also the success of my clients who I work with as well. They all have what I'm going to talk about today, and so I can't wait. I want to give this away so much because we are going through one of the hardest financial economic times right now, right? Some people say, you might hear some people say we're going into a recession. I say we are already in a recession. We was in a recession since COVID, all right? We're just now really starting to see the real nasty symptoms of it, and it's only getting worse. And so a lot of times what happens, well, all the time what happens when we go through an economic recession is not only are the finances of people still affected, but also their minds, right? Their minds. When you go through a hard time, you know what that's like, right? You're everything's going good, right? You're riding the wave, everything is going really well for some people, and all of a sudden their lives are turned upside down. It's difficult to get through something like that, and let alone start a business during a moment like that, let alone carry a business through a moment like that. And so mindset is so crucial, not to just start a business, but just to go through the hardest times of your life. And so I'm very excited to talk about the 4 lacks. There is 4 lacks, there's 4 lacks that are keeping new real estate investors from experiencing success. Honestly, these 4 lacks are keeping everybody from experiencing success. And so I'm super excited to dive into it today. And by the way, how's your Friday going? How's your Friday?
My Friday's good. It's a rainy day in LA, which I can appreciate coming from the East Coast. We get some time away from the hot weather, so it's kind of that it's my winter, and I'll take it because it's only 45-ish degrees, which is better than snow and 20. So I'm having a fantastic Friday. Thank you. And right before we dive in and get right to your 4 secrets, which I'm so excited to hear about, tell us a little bit about how you got into wholesaling and starting out this coaching career.
Yes, so I got started in wholesaling right before I had graduated from the Full Sail University. I was going through college at the time, and had, like many college students, had no money to my name. Right, did the whole living expense check thing. Had a negative bank account. Just like it was just I had nothing. Right, and so at that time I was pursuing a music career, and that's why I went to school. And I'll never forget it. From my journeys pursuing that, I ended up coming across another real estate investor who was also, he was also in the music industry as well, and we had that kind of like that connection there. And I learned about what he was doing. I learned about wholesaling. I learned about about real estate. And so before then, I just want to lay the groundwork here because maybe there's that person that's just connecting with me when I say this. Before then, I knew nothing about real estate. I don't come from a real estate family. My parents was never realtors. Like there was never like where I am today. I was never supposed to be here because there was nothing to tell me that I was going to end up being in real estate. And so with that said, I had no interest in it the first time I heard about it. Right. So I saw him doing deals. I saw him, take a $31,000 check, deposit into the bank. Right. And I saw all of that, and yet I was not interested. Right. It wasn't my focus. And so I'm gonna share with you really quickly
Okay.
what shifted that, right? Because I was so dead set on where I was going at the time that I was ignoring something that was going to make me rich and wealthy, and I did not know it was going to happen before I actually did it, right? And so let me go ahead and share what changed, and this is very important because this particular story, who I was then, there's something that carried over from who I was and who I am now, and that's my mindset, and you'll hear it as we go through the story. Notice, I did not want to do anything different, but what I was doing, that's a huge key, right? But I had to make a shift because where I wanted to go versus where I was going didn't line up. If that makes sense. So I had
Yeah.
to take that mindset and focus it on something different and something that was actually going to take me where I wanted to go, a vehicle that was actually going to take me there. When I had an opportunity to learn real estate, I'll never forget it. My real estate friend, he told me this. He said, Luke, you can either learn real estate right now, or if you want to pursue music, you can go up to Atlanta. All right, there's plenty of studios in Atlanta. Get you a little dead end job, right? It'll get you by, but you spend all that extra time just doing your music thing, right? And eventually, someone is gonna pick you up. I don't know about you, Stizzo, but when I hear the word eventually, that sounds like forever, right? Can I get an amen? That sounds like
Amen.
forever, right? And so I waited to hear his second option, and when he told me, he said, or you can spend the next few years of your life learning about real estate. Okay, you could start to make some money. You could learn this business, and you'll have some money, right? And so I'm like, okay, you know, I thought about it. I was 23 years old, Stizzo. I thought about it at 23 years old. I thought, what outcome do I want? The path I was going down at the time, I was really diving into the music industry, but I wasn't getting anywhere with it, right? Mm-hmm. The circle I was in wasn't a circle that was like focused on becoming millionaires. They were just focused on creating good music, which that's a perfect circle for when it comes for me to make great music. However, when I really thought about it, I said, what do I really want? Why am I even trying to do music? When I really thought about why, another huge major key for mindset, when I really thought about why am I doing music? Why do I want to be a popular producer? Why do I want to, why, right? Of course, I love music. It was natural to me. It's a talent of mine. I love it, yes. However, I wanted to get rich. I mean, come on now. I don't know about you, Stizzo, but where I come from, right, the ways that I saw I could get rich was either through being an entertainer of some sort, right, whether that's sports, comedy, TV, or music. And I knew I had my talent in music, so I said, this makes sense, right? I could be like all of the, producers up, in Hollywood, and all the rappers make all this money, and I'm like, this is the perfect thing, right? And so, but that was the thing that was driving me. I wanted to change my family lineage. I wanted to change where I come from, right? I love where I come from. I'm from Haiti. I came here when I was 3 years old, right? I come from a country where there's little to no opportunity. Mm-hmm. We don't have things like insurance and attorneys to protect everything you have. So when you start a business and somebody wants to burn it down, they can, and there's nothing you can do about it except take the L. I came from an environment like that, right? And now in an environment where there's a whole lot of abundance, there's a whole lot of opportunity. And so coming from that, I just knew I wanted to make a difference. I know I wanted to make a difference in my family's life. I know I wanted to make a difference and create a legacy for everyone that comes after me. And the only way that I learned I could do that was through making a lot of money. Either way, whether it was through music, whether it was through, sports, whatever it is, I just knew at the time I needed to make millions of dollars.
Right.
I didn't know how I was going to do it. And when I really saw what it took to get to that high level of success in the music industry, because I went through Full Sail's curriculum, and one of the classes I took, Stizzo, was music business. And in that music business class, I'll never forget this. It's like I could still see the document with the numbers on it. Mm-hmm. And I remember they showed us what it took to make Justin Bieber a pop star. It was $4 to $5 million. Most of it spent on advertising. Huge note for all of you entrepreneurs out there. Most of that money was spent on advertising. Okay, but in that time, in that moment, here's this young 23-year-old young version of me looking at this piece of paper that's telling me what it takes for me to be successful in the industry that I'm pursuing. And I'm like, I don't got that money right now, which is why I'm here.
Right.
Okay. And so all of that to say, these were all the thoughts that were going through my mind when he gave me those options. I really looked at the path that I was headed down, and then he told me what I had to do. And I was like, that just sounds like a whole lot more pain, right? Or I could just learn this real estate thing. Hey, in 12 months, even if I don't make $1 million, even if I don't make 100,000, I know I will have a skill that I can have for the rest of my life that will make me money over and over and over and over, no matter what, because it's a skill, right? It's a high income earning skill. So I decided to be a smart 23-year-old young version of me, and I decided to take him up on his offer. I said, all right, listen, I want to learn real estate. I'm going to put music to the side, even if I spend the next 5-6 years of my life pursuing real estate, and put music to the side. I'm only going to be 29 years old, 30 years old. And here's how I got myself to shift, right? It's very important. I had to convince myself that real estate was gonna get me what I wanted, and when I did that, that's when I changed my mind.
Right.
And the thing that I thought about that really took it over the edge for me, because I was really so stuck on music. I was so stuck in the way that I was going. It was really hard for me to see what real estate could do for me, even though I'm looking at some evidence, right? And so the thing that changed it for me, Stizzo, was when I thought about how old I was, and I did research on artists and producers, and what the average age that most of them actually pop, and it's actually in their 30s. I realized that I still had 6 to 7 years before I would get into that prime area to be in the music industry, right? And so I was willing to give up the time. I was willing to give up the years in my life to learn real estate. So that way, later, when I go back to music at the time, this is what I was thinking to myself at the time. So that later, when I go back to music, I got money, right? I understand business, right? I'm gonna crush it. You know, this is what I was thinking to myself, right? And so that's what made the shift in my mind. That's when I was completely 100% sold on learning this real estate. That's how I got into real estate, and then from that moment on, about 90 days later, I closed my first transaction, made $31,125.97, which is more than what I made in a year working full time my job. And I said, okay, yes, this is the way I'm going to change my family lineage. Yes, this is the way I can actually utilize to get rich. Yes, this is a vehicle for me that works a whole lot better, and I can use it right now. And that's what made all the
Right.
difference.
Wow, that's a great story. And there's a lot in there that you said. A couple of things I want to unpack. So starting out first, when you decided to take imperfect action and say, you know what, I'm going to go into this thing, the option number two, which is real estate. I don't know much about it, but I'm going to take a leap of faith. You mentioned your family lineage being like the reason why you said, okay, I need to make this money, right? You didn't see it so much in the music happening right away. For real estate, you don't know how long it's going to take to like take off, but you're like, I'm going to do it anyway. What did you start with in terms of actual money? Like, did you have to start with a certain amount and you bought your first property? Like, what got you to the 31,000 and some odd change that you remember so well because it was a
I love that.
changing
I love
moment for
that
you,
question.
right?
I'm gonna say this for the people who have been in my shoes, right, or who are in my shoes right now. I had nothing. I had nothing. And let me dive a little bit deeper into my story, right? Because that 90 days mark was actually the time. That's from the time that I actually got with somebody who was an expert and who knew what they were doing and who could show me the way. When I got a mentor, 90 days later from that moment, I closed my first deal. But I was trying about 6 months before, right?
Okay.
So I officially started 6 months earlier, right? But it wasn't something that I really knew, so I was kind of dabbling in it. And what I did, I had no money at the time, but I did have a car. I had a 1993 Honda Accord. I put all this money into it. That was at that time in my life, I was into like building cars and things like that, and put all this money into it. It was my baby. It was my baby, right? It was my baby. I could never thought I'd ever separate from it, which is another mindset. Take note of what I'm saying. It was something that I thought I could never separate from, Stizzo. And so, but when I saw this path that I could take, I said, I want to try it, right? I want to do it. And I ended up selling that car, and I got $1,200 for it and a PlayStation 4, right? And I took that $1,200 to start my little real estate business.
Okay.
And what ended up happening was I lost all the money because I didn't know what I was doing, right? I did not know what I was doing. I was doing what most people do, right? I was just kind of like searching on the internet, trying to find, the little bits and pieces. And then, and I was also hearing, little bits and pieces from what my real estate friend was saying. But I didn't have an actual mentor with an actual structure, with an actual education. And so I was just doing it. And I was getting somewhere. But the issue was, because I did not have the necessary skills, I was a big introvert, huge introvert. The idea of talking to people on the phone, the idea of like doing deals and negotiating, that stuff scared me. It scared the life out of me. I'd rather not do the business, right? And so when it came time for me to actually talk to people, that's when I would choke, right? My first offer was horrendous, and that was with having a mentor. And so just giving you a little backstory as well, right? What my mindset was like. And so that was the major change in me as well, is that my confidence changed from back then to now because of real estate, because of success that I saw. But that all started once I actually got somebody in my corner who can help me through these things, right? And so my mentor, he helped me through the hard parts. He helped me through myself getting in my own way, right? And eventually over time I built the muscle that became just second nature.
Okay. So you got the $1,200 in the Honda, blew that, and then how did you get into that first deal that you made in the 90 days?
So the $1,200, I ended up losing all of that, right? Now, what I ended up doing is I got a mentor, and what I did with this mentor is I had no money, right? So I had to do something creative. What I ended up doing was I ended up trading with that mentor. I had a skill, although I didn't. This is a huge nugget. I did not have any money, but I had a skill. My skill at the time was videography, photography, and cinematography, right?
Okay.
So aside from the things I was doing in music, I was really good with the camera. And so I took that skill and I leveraged it. And I traded my mentor a content, right, for education.
Mm.
And from that education and from that content, I think it cost me about the deal. We invested like $860 something in mail, right? This was back in 2016. We invested $863 in mail, and that was how much it took to land that first deal. It took 3 months to do the deal. I got in touch with that homeowner the very first month, but it took 2 more months for me to for us to cross the finish line, right? But I got a hold of that homeowner the very first month, and it came from an $862 mailing campaign.
Nice. And I think it was critical for people to hear the fact that, you exchanged what you had as value, a skill set, to be able to get the knowledge and the understanding of what you needed to do to get into wholesaling. So that's key because not all the time is it money for money, right? In terms of value exchange, a lot of times it's skill because having someone taking your photos, doing your video when you're in real estate is very useful. Like you need to have someone that can create content, right? Especially in 2023. So
Absolutely.
shouts out to you. We do have a question from the audience. Where is a great place to go to find potential um, intentional business partners?
Mm. Business partners. Now what I'm hearing when I hear that question is you have a business idea and you want to actually find people that will go in on the business with you, right? And so a great the best place is honestly just networking. You got to network. You got to network. You got to go to networking events. And honestly, I found some of the best people in my circle, like Brendan. I found him because I went to networking events, right? A lot of my, and I'm gonna say this too, my buyers, right? I got like this really big buyers list, and I tell people all the time, like the size of your buyers list doesn't matter; it's the quality of buyers that you got, right? So I got like this big buyers list, right? But I have like this 10% of it is like really solid buyers that buy mostly everything that I have.
Right.
Okay. And why am I bringing this up? Because I met some of the best through networking. I met some of the best through just getting in the spaces of where they are, right? And a lot of times, believe it or not, right, when you're going to these conferences, I know it's 2021. I mean, excuse me, 2023 right now, right? So
I'm like, whoo, don't want to go back to
right? You know what I'm saying? Look, it's 2023 right now. And we all know what conferences are. We've all seen them. We can't get them out. We cannot get conferences out of our radar right now because I promise, like every 5 minutes, every single day I open up social media, I see a new conference. Somebody's putting up, right? And so this is a good thing, though. It's a beautiful thing. I love conferences, right? Not just for the people that are speaking, not just for the information that's there, but just for the people that's in the room with you, your peers, your colleagues. That's I like to look at it. My perspective, another mindset tip, perspective. My perspective on conferences, okay, is that it's almost like going back. Do you remember high school? You remember how high school was, right? You remember when you used to go to your high school functions, pep rallies, and dances and all that. Like I think of networking events like high school.
right.
I think of I really do. I think of networking events as high school, but the school is a networking event, and we're all here to learn the same thing, right?
Yep.
And the interesting thing is we all have a different reason why we're learning this thing. And so. I love networking events because the person next to me is going to be the person that graduated with me. the person next to me is also next up. And so if I want a business partner, I want somebody who thinks like me. I want somebody who's willing to get into the same spaces as me. I want somebody who's going to grow like me. I also want somebody as well, right, who's got my kind of work ethic. And I can tell you, people who show up into the room are definitely different from people who don't. And I can tell you this too. People who show up in VIP, huge, another little mindset tip, people who get the top ticket are the top performers. And so sometimes, most of the events I go, I'm just going to touch on this because I think it's important, that we're aware of this. Most of the events I go to, I get VIP. And there's a reason for that, right? There is the price, right? Of course, the price is much higher. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I want the people in the room. I don't want the connections. The connections I'm going to make is worth 100 times, 1,000 times more than anything I could ever pay. Mm-hmm. Anything. 1,000 times more. And so I always go for that ticket if I can. But the point is, you just want to get in the room, right? You just want to get in the room. You want to get into that environment where you can find people that think like you, that believe what you believe, that have your work ethic, right? That are in alignment with your business, which you can find them by just talking to them, right? That are in alignment. Somebody that compliments you, somebody that you compliment, right? And I think those are great business partners. And of course, you trust is something that's built over time, and trust is the last component to that. But that is one huge thing I want to share with everybody. You want to find a good business partner, and they're not in your circle of influence already, right? Start networking. You can network locally. You don't gotta go far. You can network right inside your own city, right inside your own town. Find who the players are. You want a good business partner? How good of a business partner do you want? Do you want a business partner that's just getting started, doesn't know anything, or do you want a business partner that knows more than you about the thing that you need him to do?
Right. And speaking of success and partners, when it comes to someone being in a relationship or being married and having a partner, does being married help bring clarity and help you become more successful? Because you're married, yes?
Yes. When you have a partner, right? When you have a partner, that is huge. Huge. I'm gonna just say this is another thing about mindset, right? Our minds are not the same. We all have different perspectives. We all have different upbringings. We all have different experiences. We all have different levels of education. We all have different things that we know that others don't know. And so that's why it's so important to have a second opinion on everything. And the beautiful thing about having relationships is that when you have that cohesiveness, that alignment, and you put the two minds together, you have two perspectives all the time, right? I'm a high I personality, right? I'm ready. When I have big goals, I just want to crush them, right? I'm not quiet about it. I'm ready to jump in front of the limelight. I'm ready to do what I need to do. I'm ready to do a deal. I'm ready to negotiate. I love selling. I love sales. I love what I do, and I'm very enthusiastic about it. I'm an I. I'm a very high I, right? My partner though is a high S. Complete opposite. So for me, I'm the type, and I had to work my way through this challenge, right? Because I think it is a challenge. I'm the type who used to be ready, fire, aim. I'm ready to go, right? I'm ready to go. I'm not worried about the repercussions. I'm just worried about the end outcome, right? And so my partner, she's a high S, and so she is thinking about the security side of everything, right? I'm thinking about the I side. She's thinking about the S side, and so that's why it's important. It's two perspectives, and when you can feel each other's weaknesses, that's when you really got a great cohesive situation and a great opportunity to be ultra successful, because two heads are better than one. And as the Bible say, one can chase 1,000, two can chase 10,000. Wait, that math does not make any sense. Yeah, but it does when you got the power of God behind you, and when you're masterminding on a whole new level, because you have two minds that are in alignment, right? And that can see things differently from the other. So when you bring them together, you see the whole picture. I like to look at the minds, right? So when I think of a mastermind, a mastermind is any sort of moment where you're sitting down and you're brainstorming something, right? With two or more people. So it's not something you can do by yourself. You need at least one other partner or more. When I think of a mastermind like a puzzle piece, we're all thinking to build this, like we're bringing all of our minds together to make a clarity happen out of a puzzle, right? And each of us have a piece. So however many people are in your mastermind, that's how many puzzle pieces there are. Does that make sense? Yep. And when we bring all the puzzle pieces together, we have a full picture and it's clear. And so that's the power of having another person that you can do business with. That's the power of having another person that you can achieve success with, is that you have literally somebody that you can mastermind, right? I call it pillow talking, right? You got somebody you can pillow talk with, you know what I'm saying? And you come up with the greatest ideas. A lot of the greatest ideas and things that I've done, right, that we've done together per se, is a lot of it has been my partner's idea, right? Mm-hmm. This is why they say, you know, to every great man, there's, you know, there's a great woman behind them, and vice versa. To every great woman, there's a great man behind them.
Right. So what would you say to someone in terms of giving them advice on mindset if they're in a situation where their husband or their wife or their partner isn't aligned in their vision, right? And so they're going to them for advice or going to them to get support and they're not really receiving that. What kind of mindset conversation should they have with this person?
That's a great question. The first thing is we got to have a conversation about it. I believe that the very first thing is that we have to bring to the table the fact that there is actually the fact that we're out of alignment. We both have to be on the same page about that, right? Because we both have to see it from that way, so we both can come together to work on fixing that problem, on improving that, right? And then the second thing I want to say is, well, whatever the actual problem is, I highly recommend that the both of you learn about how to correct that problem, right? Mm-hmm. The both of you get educated on that problem. The both of you, when you're doing your business together, the both of you put your minds to it. You know, one of the biggest things that helped me and helped my partner, it helped us really, really, really move quickly in terms of what we knew and the education that we have. We condensed a lot of time because we read books together. Right. So as we're reading, the difference between me reading a book by myself and us reading it together is that when I read it by myself, again, I got one perspective. Right. Again, I'm hearing it my way. Right. I'm hearing it with the influence that I have from my life, from my previous experiences. When we both read it, she's also hearing it from her perspective and her influences in her life from her past experiences. So now when she's reading it, sometimes she says things that she got out of the passage that I wasn't even thinking about. I'm like, wow, man, that's a great point. My goodness, I would have never thought of that if you weren't sitting here reading this book with me. So we're able to literally learn like a whole lot more out of the same moment of time, simply because we're reading it together. And the other thing is it creates bonding, right? We're growing together at the same time. It's kind of hard to be on opposite sides if we're both doing the same thing. Right. It's kind of hard to be on opposite sides if we're both growing evenly. It's kind of hard to be on opposite sides, right? If we both have the same belief into what we're doing. And that's the third thing I want to touch on is belief. Belief is important. So when we're having this conversation of, hey, listen, I feel like there's some, you know, I feel like we're out of alignment. I feel like, you know, we're not going in the same direction, right? I want to talk about it. I want to make things better. What do you believe? Does your partner believe in what you're doing? In the beginning, for those of you, right, sometimes your partner may not believe in what you're doing in the beginning. Maybe they're focused, right, on what's happening around them, and it's hard for them to focus on the business or the direction. Maybe they were in the same direction as you, and they kind of fell off a little bit. Whatever the case is, we've got to get back into alignment. We've got to work on belief. We've got to work on belief. Because belief is everything. All of this, the common denominator of what I'm saying right now, Stizzo, is all about alignment. It's all about alignment. If your partner is not on board with you, it's called being out of alignment. Right. We have to get back in alignment. And for those, and if you're in that situation, I have to say this because on my spirit, if you're in that situation where you've had the conversation, your partner's not in alignment, you know, it's not going in that direction, don't panic. Do everything that you can do to show them that this is the right path. Do everything that you can do, like bring results to the table. Bring results to the table. This is why I say for those partners who, you know, it's not that the partners may not believe they can do it. It's not that the partners may not believe that that vision isn't real. It's just that they don't believe in it enough yet to just jump on board with you. So
Right.
you're
So
gonna have to do
sometimes they gotta see it.
you're gonna have to produce some results so they can see it and say, oh wow, this is what they were talking about. Maybe I'm all in, right? But a huge part of that is really just getting into alignment, and a lot of that has to do with working on the mindset. So work on the mindset of your partner, help your partner's mind a little bit. If that means reading a book with them, read a book with them. Are you moving at the same pace, right? We've all got to feel like we're growing.
Okay.
And so
Perfect.
that's why I wanted to touch on that for sure.
Nice. And I know the 4 things that are holding people back from success that you have the key to unlock. Let's talk about those really quickly. You mentioned a few of them as we were going along, but I just want to like pinpoint the 4. Give us a quick snapshot of each of the 4 and a gem for each 4. Now that we're coming up on wrapping up the show, but I want to make sure people have like the 4 listed out and can understand how to take immediate and perfect action to get it done.
Absolutely. I'd love to. Listen, there's 4 lacks right now. If you're not seeing success in your business, you're lacking 4 things. 4 major things. It doesn't matter whatever business you're doing. And honestly, these 4 lacks actually bleed into every other area of your life, whether that's fitness, whether that is finances, whatever it is, it bleeds into the other areas of your life. And so the 4 lacks are these. The first one is intellect, right? You're lacking intellect. You're lacking education, right? When you don't have enough education, you can't be successful. If you don't know what to do, if you don't know nothing about what you're doing, you can only you'll only see success by luck, right? And luck cannot be repeated, right? You gotta get lucky again, right? And so we want businesses, we want success that can be repeated, right? And so intellect is a huge key to that. Lack number 4 is strategy, right? Now that you got some information, what is your strategy? News flash. No businesses are created the same, even if you are in the same industry. No one's business is ever created the same. Why? Because none of us are the same. Every one of our situations are different. I tell all of my mentees this all the time. We are all in different areas in our life, right? Financially, time-wise, right? We all have different resources, and therefore our business models and our structures have to look a little bit different from one another. And so you need a strategy, one that works for you, not just one that you hear on the internet that somebody who's investing, way more than you or way less than you is doing. You need a thing that works for you, and not just from a money standpoint, but from a time standpoint, right? Sustainability is the most important component in your business. If you can't last, you'll never see the finish line. If you can't continue to run, you're out of the game. Sustainability is more important than having fancy tools. Sustainability is more important than the next new best thing, right? You got to stay consistent, but you can't stay consistent if you're not sustainable, if your business model is not sustainable. So strategy, it's got to make sense. It's got to work for you. It's got to be designed for you. Third thing is execution. What good is having information? What good is having a great strategy that's going to work for you if you ain't going to move on it? Right. This is the Imperfect Action Show. So let's go ahead and scratch off the strategy thing. Let's go ahead and scratch off the intellect thing. Let's just talk about the execution thing, right? Even if you don't got a strategy or intellect, what you doing about it? Are you executing on getting educated? Are you executing on hiring that mentor that can help you get to where you want to go? Are you executing on just executing, maybe just trying some things and seeing what happens? Or are you sitting still? Are you standing still? Are you stuck like Chuck in a pickup truck? What are you doing? All right?
You got the line, stuck like Chuck in a pickup truck.
Listen, we are all the same. None of us are different in this way. None of these 4, here's the thing I love about these 4 principles, and then I'm going to share with the last one with you. None of these 4 principles discriminate. It don't matter where you come from. It don't matter what you look like. It don't matter what your background is. It don't matter. None of that stuff matters. If you're lacking these 4, you're lacking success. When you have these 4, you are on the journey in the path of success. All you need to do is give it number 4, which is patience. When you got the first 3 down, you need number 4. You need to be patient, baby. You need to let time do its thing. You need to let God do his work in your life. You need to let what's going to happen. Okay, you need to let what's going to happen. When you have the strategy, you're executing on it, time is the last component. Time is immovable. We can't speed it up. We're all on our own journey. We cannot fast forward our own journey of success. We can't do that. We have to respect our learning curve. And so with that, patience is the last formula that people lack. We live in this, and I can honestly say this, and I know that you probably agree with me, Stizzo, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people who are listening right now agree with me when I say this. We live in a microwave society.
Yep.
Everything needs to be fast. And honestly, social media is not helping. Okay, social media is not helping. When you're looking at the next person living their best life, you may not even realize they spent the last 20 years of their life working hard. They spent the last 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, 15 years, 35 years, some people 40 years, 50 years of their life under the gutter, in the trenches. We have to respect our own learning curve. And sometimes we also got to learn how to turn off the media. We also got to learn how to turn off the noise. We also got to learn how to get laser focused and be patient. Because the execution that you're doing, when you have the right strategy in place, the right system in your business, the system is what produces the results, not you. The system produces the results, but you got to work the system.
Right.
If there's nobody there to run it, it ain't gonna work. But if you got a working system, execute and be patient and watch the fruits of your labor come to fruition.
Look at that. That was good. So just to recap really quickly, 4 lacks to success in business. You got to get on your intellect, learn more things, focus in on your strategy. What is your strategy? What's your win? How are you going to execute? Y'all know this is an Imperfect Action Show. It's all about execution. That's how this show even was birthed. It was birthed out of execution. And then the last one is patience. Having patience. We all have our own journey, our own curve, as you will, in understanding that business comes as business grows, but we all grow at different paces. So understand that patience is important. Another gem that I want to pull from this whole moment and leave for the audience is you don't need a lot to get a lot in the end. Like, he started out with $1,200, like literally selling his dream car to get $1,200 that he ended up losing, right? But still came back on top and made an extreme investment after and was able to get some properties and wholesaling. So this moment was all about mindset. It was all about getting in the right space, understanding how to grow when you become bigger and better in your mind first, and then take action on everything else. Wow, Luke, that was a lot of information. I feel like we could go on for 18 hours on this podcast, but that half an hour went by really fast, but we got a lot of valuable information. So before we head out, please let everyone know where they can find you and how they can get in touch to learn more information.
Absolutely. We spent a lot of time on mindset tonight, and I hope that this has blessed you in a tremendous amount of way. I feel like this is going to be worth way more than anything any type of money making strategy I can give you, because it's your mind which creates your entire experience in your life. And so, but I also want to leave you guys with a strategy for wholesaling, right? So if you're somebody right now who doesn't have the strategy, or you don't have the education, right? Maybe you got the execution, maybe you do have the patience already, but you're missing the education and strategy. I have an ebook, right, that you can take. It's literally a system built in the ebook. All you got to do is follow it step by step, and you're going to learn a lot about real estate investing. Okay. And it's a simple 4-step system to closing your first deal in 90 days and making anywhere between $5,000 to $20,000 or more wholesaling real estate. And you can get that ebook by going to sowcontent.com, right? And you can get that ebook right there. It's my 6-figure real estate wholesaling ebook. There's a system built right into it. If you're fresh and brand new to wholesaling, maybe this is the first time you're ever hearing about it, maybe you've never heard about it before, you want to know just the basic steps, I have a free web class I'd love for you to take, free training on it, and you can find that as well on sowcontent.com, or you go to schoolofwholesaling.com for that free training. And it costs you nothing at all but a little bit of your time to learn the step-by-step process of wholesaling, how to actually do it. And then you can take that book, use that book right there to give you all of the other pieces to the puzzle, including all the resources you need to make it happen and get your first deal closed. And you can find me on Instagram at Luke Madeus.
That's perfect. Listen, let's do it, y'all. That was Game with Luke on the Imperfect Action Show. I'm your host, Stizzo Speaks. We are headed out, but we'll see you on the next episode. Make sure you tune in. This is where we talk to 6, 7, 8-figure earners about their journey, some strategies, some lessons, some plans, and get you on your track to take imperfect action so that you can win in your business. Luke, thank you so much for your time today. This was amazing. I know my mind is right. I'm about to get back to work. So everybody, have an amazing weekend. Happy Friday. We'll see you on the next episode.